Hi, this is Mira Talwalker. I'm in your English 145 class, section 14. These are my friends. This is Wiley. This is Emma. Again, I'm Mira. Cool. So the quote is Anne Patchett's from This is the Story of a Happy Marriage. She says, there are two kinds of educational experiences you can have in college. One is passive and one is active. In the first, you are a little bird in the nest with your beak stretched open wide, and the professor gathers up all the information you need and drops it down your gullet. You may feel good about this. After all, you are passionately waiting for this information, but your only role is to accept what you are given, to memorize facts and later repeat them for a test that might give you a good grade. But it's not the same thing as having intellectual curiosity. In the second kind, you are taught to learn how to find the information and how to think about it for yourself. You learn how to question and engage. You realize that one answer is not enough and that you have to look at as many sources that are available to you so that you can piece together a larger picture. You're about to open your minds. A college education is about expansion. It's about seeing many different viewpoints, hearing many different voices. You will find the more you learn, the more complicated things get, because you have the intelligence to recognize many aspects of a single idea. You will learn to use your mind in the way an athlete uses her body. You will stretch and strengthen and grow. And this is precisely why so many people are afraid of higher education. It's simply easier for them to see the world in terms of right or wrong. They've got one clear answer for everything and they're sticking to it, but you have the chance to fearlessly move beyond that now if you are willing to explore what is available to you. Very long way of saying that, like, it's better to be a critical thinker than to just accept.
To memorize.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we respond to this?
Yeah, we respond to this.
Is there a prompt or just...
No, it's just you just respond to it.
I
guess you just answer. Oh, reading this quote, how do you understand it to fit into our class and even the world at large? So I guess the world at large.
The world at large. Emma, do you have thoughts?
You can go first.
Okay.
I think I definitely agree with Patchett. I think that kind of passive learning or memorization can be helpful as a tool sometimes, but critical thinking, if you learn critical thinking in class, you can apply that outside of class as well. And so I just watched this YouTube video about a growth mindset, which is focused not so much on the results, so instead of focusing on memorizing like a Quizlet and then getting 100% on a multiple choice test, you focus on the process. That would be more of a growth mindset. So if you can engage in like this, if you enjoy the critical thinking process, then that ends up being more valuable because you will actually enjoy the process and you'll actually have better results than if you just tried to memorize things to achieve some sort of end.
Yeah, I also think like if you actually care about something, or like you're going to school and you want to take a class, you actually care about something, you should like look at it from different points of view. Like just because like if I want to really learn something, I'm not just gonna accept whatever information I'm given. I like think the same way about like this is fully like outside of like the classroom, but like the way that I guess like take in culture and like music and politics and movies and stuff like that to like find out what I like and what I care about, or like what I like align with and identify with. Like my freshman year, I really wanted to figure out what kind of music I liked, so I decided to like isolate myself and listen to like all the music, like all genres of music, because like I was sick of just like accepting that what was like the right kind of music was mainstream music, like radio music. And I felt like, you know, especially in high school, because I like was never exposed to different kinds of music. I was always just like pop or like hip hop or something. And like up until then, because I wanted to pick something, like if it was music or movies or TV shows, to like dedicate a good amount of my time to getting like a well-rounded perspective of like different kinds of genres, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's like,
Yeah, I think it's really important. That kind of critical thinking, I think, is definitely also really important politically. Like, instead of getting your political ideas from somebody, just regurgitating what maybe a politician says, if you think critically about both sides of the argument, like, not saying that you'll give equal validity to both sides, but you will better understand the other side of the argument, so that you could potentially like deconstruct that argument more. And the same thing goes for morality. If you're getting all your morals from somebody else, and you're not thinking about them for yourselves, then you run the risk of being potentially immoral, because the system that you're regurgitating, you haven't like analyzed to judge whether or not it actually is moral.
I mean, I'm with you on all of that. I mean, when I first heard the quote, I was thinking of just like doing a more like intimate or like personal thingy response. I don't know if that's okay, like a hot take. I just thought it was interesting because it is a very binary thing, and that's like the most common. Like Cal Poly is based on like learn by doing, which is supposedly active, while like passive would be like regurgitating and memorizing and everything. And I don't know, I was just thinking, this is very much just kind of like thought bubble, kind of like stream of consciousness thought. But like with the passive learning, it's really funny for me because I feel like there's another binary underneath the passive thing, where it's like I really like admire and value people with that kind of like encyclopedic knowledge. Like I've always kind of like looked up to that and thought that there was a lot of value in that. Whereas I kind of see like, for some reason I've like found that encyclopedic knowledge to be almost just as valuable as like the critical knowledge, just like people being able to be intelligent in that specific way. And I think that could have been taught to me like throughout my experience with passive learning, like being taught that for most of my like primary and educational experience. So like I see that and I like want to challenge that in my own life. And then I think that the other side of the passive learning is like people like me who like struggle with wanting so bad to have that encyclopedic knowledge. Like I'm a graphic communication major, and we learn a lot about freaking printing and machines and random bits of knowledge that probably don't apply to me, but I've always felt like I would be more valuable or smarter in my major if I was capable of regurgitating all of this. And so like passive learning has just always been like a really difficult thing, because I feel like you're supposed to be able to do both. And if I'm not doing the passive one good, then I'm just the worst of the worst. And then with active learning, obviously that's what everyone, that's like big head, active learning, apply yourself, think hard, don't accept. But and again, it comes with content too. What are you learning? I mean, are you a philosophy major, or are you literally
like it would be so different if you were like a STEM major.
Right,
like
exactly.
Generally, like it's like math is math. But the thing is like I wonder like how like elementary school kids, like if you could just like I don't know, I don't remember obviously like if like my teachers taught me how to like think critically when I was like 8 years old. But like it probably would have been a good thing. I know like my parents, especially like their generation, like they just taken whatever information their parents gave them, their educators gave them when they were growing up, and I feel like it's like really hurt them now, because like it's hard for them to like give up their like beliefs, because it's something that like have been drilled into them for so long. Especially, I mean, like not to get like personal, but like my parents are like kind of homophobic. But it's like, and like they've been trying at least to like my dad tries to watch Queer Eye, like they try to do things, these things, but like
critical
they can't
thinking,
Queer
Eye.
do Queer Eye, and like I don't know, but like they're trying to change, and like obviously that's a step, but like a lot of the things have just like they're like, no, that's just the way that like our parents told us to do things and like think and stuff like that. But
that's also an interesting way to think about our parents too, because I think they're part of what's called Gen X, which is like kind of like the people who are like in full adulthood, as in like family adulthood, I guess, have 2 kids, 3 kids, fucking like the what's it called?
Baby boomers?
Nuclear family.
Yeah,
so they're at that age in like 2008 in the that's I don't know, that's what I think of as like my parents went through like not challenging things, not challenging what they're doing, what like the government is up to, not critically thinking, politics, whatever, it's all everything. and then 2008 happened, and I think that's like a huge part of Gen X is that those people have like all like that like flipped everybody's world upside down because they had everything that their parents had until then,
Yeah.
and then everything changed. And so I actually like learned about in one of my classes in passive learning that like they've become more resilient, and like I wonder like how much that like change like past the early 2000s has like completely altered, like maybe that's why right now we're at Cal Poly like learn by doing, like maybe it's because those are the people in charge. Gen X people are like, oh shit, we gotta push this.
Yeah.
So
speaking to that, like with like the 2008 financial crisis, kind of maybe demonstrates maybe how maybe a lack of critical thinking might leave you vulnerable to the system, right? So I mean, it's really easy for this to happen too, because even if you do have like a set of critical thinking skills, because these bankers are assuming or like making it seem like taking out these subprime mortgages are a good thing, and I think that building up like a lot of critical thinking might be able to leave you less vulnerable to the system and being taken advantage of in that way.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about it just like over time, how I think it's just been very like that switch from passive to active. I almost feel like it's happened like within my own like experience from elementary up to college, and I think right then it was kind of like I messed up, like I've been doing this passive thing, I've been trying at least to do this passive thing, and I do get good grades, but what's that worth now? Because what I'm told now is like I need application.
Yeah.
Because like I don't want to be an adult. No, I'm already an adult, but like I don't want to be. I just feel like that's like a great example of just being manipulated by like what someone is saying is like right and facts and stuff, and like I don't want to be in a position where like I'm like responsible for like a family and like my house and all these things, and a lot of the things I like vote for, and if I don't pay attention to like what's actually going on and having like a holistic perspective of like economic, social, and political issues, like, and I feel like it's so hard to do. Like, it's so hard to know everything.
It's so hard.
And
like because it's literally active versus passive.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and so like generally you just accept whatever like politicians tell you because it's just easy.
Right.
But it's just horrible. Like I don't know. Then like I really do have to like dedicate like my weekends
time
or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then speaking to what you were saying about like this binary between passive and active, I think that's what I was saying earlier about passive learning sometimes being a tool, because I think that these are probably inextricably linked.
Yeah.
Because if you have the critical thinking skills, but you don't have the content that you have memorized potentially to like arrange that content into an argument, then you don't really. You might not have anything.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just have the content, but you don't have the critical thinking skills to put it together, then you also have nothing.
Useless.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I have always like seen that like that encyclopedic knowledge, the successful passive learners, as the best, because then they can also go into the realm of active and succeed better than someone who's passive, but passive up until a test date.
Yeah. I would think, I'm thinking about maybe that encyclopedic knowledge gives you a certain status in the system that we have right now, because that passive learning will often get you the good grades that then get you maybe a good social status if you're in high school.
Yeah.
So I think that's a part of it, but then
like it doesn't help you navigate like life decisions.
And I also feel like at least I would like to think that critical thinking can happen kind of naturally even if you are in a passive learning environment. Like active learning, I think I would like to think is kind of inherent in human nature, just because you have critical like you might, but you need to build it up like a lot, because your natural capacity for critical thinking is often not going to be enough to, you know, arrange content into an argument that's convincing, or make yourself, like, defend yourself against being vulnerable to the system. That takes like a really, like, sometimes a really high level of critical thinking that is